One thing that comes up in a lot of the story games I play is whenever you're having to create characters, places, things, you have to come up with a lot of names. How the hell do you come up with names on the fly? It's really difficult. If you ask me to come up with like 10 names right now, I'd be, let's see, Alice, Mitchell, Skylar, Adam, Marion, Juliet. Like, these are all Western names. They're all American names, biblical names, whatever. But you won't see me reaching for something like, you know, uh, Ugwebe or Shenko or, you know, Maria. Maria's Western. It's hard. It's really hard because, like, we have a small active pool of names in our heads at any given time. Usually from characters that we see on TV, people that we know in person, celebrities, that sort of thing. But it's really limiting. It's very limiting because you only know what you know, right? Unless you work with a lot of people from all over the world, it's very difficult to just like randomly pull a name from like Asia, unless you are Asian, or from South America, unless you are of Latinx descent. So, how do you do this? How do you quickly create names of NPCs, of, like other characters, like things like that, places, without having to just rely on the 5 same names all the time? Some games address this in a very specific way. They have look-up tables in the back of their books. I think Blades in the Dark definitely does this. They have just a Victorian-y sounding names, and they're all Victorian-y sounding names. One thing I'd recommend, though, is if you're serious about GMing or playing story games, is pick up one of these baby name books. It's a little weird. Definitely when people see this on my shelf, they're like, Kate. And I'm like, no, I'm not expecting. Not gonna adopt. I just need it for my nerdy hobby bullshit. But it's fine. It's fine. It's cool. So a couple caveats with these sorts of books, right? These are made specifically for whatever audience that they're for. So in general, many of these are going to be Western names. Many of these are going to be very gendered names. But a book like this one specifically, is pretty rad because if you look inside, yes, there is a sort of gendered section here. I think this is the girl section, or boys, and then there's girls here, but they have the sort of like names mixed together. So, there's Pasha and Patience next to Patrina or Paris or Pana. Hindi names next to Greek names next to a lot of Indian names, Welsh names. Perry is apparently a girl's name in Welsh. The daughter of Harry. Who knew? But you should also look for a book that has sort of like themed sections, because then that can give you a little bit more interesting idea for very specific types of characters. So here is most popular names in Montana, split up by gender. That'd be great for like a very specific location-based campaign, or like anything set in the sort of greater Midwest area. So look for things like that, first of all. Second, you should try to understand the syllabary of a specific region. Like for Japanese, right? There's only a handful of vowels, a, I, U, E, O, and a couple consonants and combinations and plosives and things, but if you can understand the sounds that a specific language will make, or the sounds that a specific language won't make, you can come up with cities and things that sound vaguely correct. I think the game Questlandia does this pretty well. They create a sort of syllable library right at the beginning of the game, which you then use to create your various parts of the world building experience. So think about syllables. Think about what syllables work, what syllables don't. If you look at a language like Klingon, where it's like chuk tok, I don't actually know Klingon, but I do know it's very guttural. It's got a lot of hard consonants, nothing soft or not much like sibilant words. But try to find the set of sounds and characteristic types of speech patterns that suit the world that you're in. If you're thinking about creating a merchant city, you could base it off of, sort of Renaissance Italy sounds, right? Lots of O's and I's and L's. And A's, maybe not any like hard K's, or like a lot of like X's, but other cities could very well have those sorts of sounds. So, hopefully that was helpful. I don't know if it was, but it doesn't really matter because I like talking about this sort of stuff. So, go out there, create some characters, create some cities, create some weird artifacts. Try to look at the type of constructions that other languages use, and then replicate those, and then remix them. Like instead of saying things in the usual English patterns, try it in a more French pattern. Try it in a more Icelandic pattern. Even within the sort of like Western sphere of languages and sounds, there's always new depths to be plumbed. So, hopefully that was helpful. I will see you next time.